Hey, welcome to the show. This is Travis Johnson, host of the Nonprofit Architect Podcast. It is 2022. At the end of 2021, I vowed to make more episodes, more shows, provide more value this year than I have in the years past. Regularly, we host an interview show. I bring in a guest and we give you the how to that you need to build a stronger nonprofit. I was trying to figure out what was missing. What could I do more to provide you, the audience, value? And I looked at a few things, a few different types of content, some how to stuff, some mindset, some leadership, maybe reviews of past episodes or the actionable steps that you need, the down and dirty, quick highlights. And I've been sitting and thinking about what I'm going to produce and what I'm going to write, what I'm going to talk about. And for no reason, out of nowhere, this fear starts setting in. And I'm like, oh, they expect an interview show, but it's not going to be an interview show. Oh, am I going to be good enough on my own? And keep in mind, I've already been, at the top of the ranks in several countries and have been recognized for my podcasting and different things. And even though I've done so well in the podcasting world, I still was getting hit by some of this uncertainty, some of this fear, some of this paralyzation. So in the first episode that I'm putting out as a solo effort, no intro, no outro, no production, I wanted to get in and talk about fear and talk about paralyzation and what we can do to combat these things. When you look at fear, there's really 8 dominant fears out there that we need to overcome to train ourselves to be, more proactive. Every time we get caught up in thinking about, oh, what about this or what about that? And how am I going to do this? And what are people going to think? And all of these things, it gets overwhelming. So we're going to break these down, 8 different types of fear and what we can do about them. So fear number 1 is the fear of setting goals. It's 2022. It's the new year. And if you're listening to this right away in 2022, you're like, oh, really? Here we go. Something about, oh, new year, new me, all that nonsense. But that's not really it. When we set goals for ourselves, no matter what they might look like, whether they're, calendar based on the year or, waiting for the next holiday or whatever the thing is, that whatever goal it is, if it's personal achievement, whether it's for work or anything else, it's hard to set goals, but it's really hard to reach what we desire if we don't set them. I've heard that the difference between a dream and a goal is a plan. And in order to reach our dreams, we really have to set goals and create that plan. And if we don't set goals or we set the wrong goals, we're not going to get those results that we really desire. You've got to have clear objectives. You've got to have targets to aim at and to achieve. And, if we don't have those goals, we're kind of onto the false impression that, we can't fail. Really what that means is we just think that because we haven't set goals that we can't really not achieve them because there's no really metric or measurement. If you don't have a solid plan in place, if you don't have that goal set down, you're kind of stuck from the get-go. If you look at nature and think of an acorn, its goal is to grow into an oak tree. It is not complete in its own capacity as an acorn, right? It needs to be put on the ground, water, sunshine, all those fun things. But it is definitely going to turn itself into an oak tree and produce millions of other acorns. We need to do this with ourselves. And the way we can do that is by setting goals, figuring out that maybe it's a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal, or whatever your goal is, and to break it down into bite-sized little chunks that we actually can achieve. I remember, being in the Navy and struggling with running, and you have things like a mile and a half run that you do for your physical fitness exam, or you might have a 5K goal or a half marathon goal or marathon, whatever it is. And you got crazy ultra marathons like 100 miles and things. But, you don't get to marathon status without setting goals, training goals throughout the week, and then showing up. But when you're just getting started and when your body is not in running shape, my body's not in running shape, sometimes you just have to say, I'm going to get to that next traffic light. I'm going to get to that next telephone pole. I'm going to get to that next intersection. And just to keep us moving along, goal after goal, step by step, even if it's a small goal, that momentum is going to help you get to those big ones. So, fear of setting goals is kind of a bust. You have to set goals. Not setting goals doesn't mean anything. Fear of failure. This is fear number 2. If we don't believe we can succeed, we've lost the battle before it even begins. This is how I felt a lot throughout my military career, my college career, even in podcasting, that you almost get in this headspace where you can talk yourself out of doing what it is that you need to do. Because if you don't, try, then you can't fail. But you can do it. You can succeed. I don't think that I'm anything special. I just show up week after week, month after month, year after year, and keep doing what needs to be done. Everything that I've done, everything that I've tried to do, and everyone else that I know that I've done anything worthwhile is full of all these little tiny failures and missteps and redirects and course corrections. You can't sail from Virginia to Spain without turning the ship's wheel. You have to be able to turn. You have to correct for current. You have to correct for wind. You have to correct for wind. And just because you've set that course doesn't mean you're not going to have to course correct. Whether you want to call it a mistake or a failure or a bump in the road or whatever you want to call it, there's no clear, unfettered, clean path to get you from A to B. Even working out in the gym, you tear the muscles apart. You have to give it that rest day so your muscles can rebuild, because the rest days are the days that you actually get bigger and stronger. Thomas Edison, his great edict says that, I have not failed. I just found 10,000 ways that won't work. But he kept at it until he found a way that does work. And now his name is cemented in history as the inventor of the light bulb. There's so many chances for success out there, so many opportunities for meaningful achievement and accomplishments in our life. The fear of failure can be negligible, but you've wasted time and resources. You're going to get bumps in the road. You're going to go backwards. Be aware of your mistakes, but nothing can hold you back, because persistence renders the fear of failure powerless. Persistence renders fear of failure powerless. Fear number 3 is fear of appearing arrogant. Some of us just aren't comfortable with success. Some people have said that I'm successful, and it feels weird when people tell me that, because, I don't feel that I'm successful. I don't just walk around and be like, everyone, come look how amazing I am. I don't feel that way. And anyone else that's had any other measure of success can kind of feel that way. This fear of appearing arrogant. And we don't want to give that appearance. We don't want to look like that out to the real world. And we don't want to be seen as putting ourselves above others. That's not to say that you shouldn't take care of yourself first. A lot of people are under the impression that it's not nice or polite to put yourself before others, but you really need to be nice to yourself first. There's nothing arrogant about having the courage to know what we want based upon self-knowledge and self-control. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing arrogant about this. Nothing wrong or arrogant about saying who you are, what you want, and enforcing your boundaries. If we react to the limitations of others, we can't let their limitations limit us. Fear number 4, the fear of asking for help. No one ever got where they are. No successful person ever reached the top without asking for a little help. I was over in the Kingdom of Bahrain, and we have a 3-star admiral, and he spends his entire day asking questions. Ask questions of the watchstanders, ask questions of the different department heads and the different departments and the different divisions, because he needs the information available to make decisions about the direction of where we're going and what we're doing. He doesn't have that information. He has teams of people dedicated to getting that information for him, but he has to ask the question in order to get to the answer he needs to do the mission. If you're stuck right now, if you are in a place where you're not getting the results that you want and you haven't reached out and asked for help, drop me a line at nonprofitarchitect.org. There's a contact form at the bottom of every page. Scroll down to the bottom, send me a note, reach out and say, hey, Travis, I'm struggling with this. Who do you know? Who can you connect me to? Or what do I need to do to get unstuck? Being stuck doesn't do anyone any good. And the only way we get past that is finding the information we need to be successful. And that might include asking for help. And what the biggest thing that's going to happen is, you don't get to where you want to go. But think about all the people that ask you for help. What is it about that question that's not preventing them from asking you, but what somehow is preventing you from asking them for help? Don't worry about that. Every successful person had to get some help along the way. If I want to reach my goals as fast as humanly possible, I don't have all the answers and I have to reach out. I have mentors, I have coaches, I have a community that I ask for help each and every day. That's the only way I'm going to get better. Fear number 5, fear of saying no. This is one that kills me because so many people think that they have to say yes to everything and that reciprocity is going to come back, to help them in some way, shape, or form. And I'm not saying that it won't, but I have to say no on a regular basis. If people approach me with all sorts of interesting thoughts, ideas, should you do this? Should you do that? And I can't possibly say yes to all of them. I don't even want to say yes to most of them because if they're not in alignment with my goals, how is that going to help me get to where I'm going? Now, some of the things are not aligned with my goals that you end up doing, but we're often afraid to say no because most of us have some degree of fear of rejection. If your relationships are based on always saying yes, then it's not really a relationship, is it? Every time we say no, we might run the risk of disappointing someone and making someone angry, hurting someone's feelings, or appearing unkind. And we want to avoid people thinking negatively about us. But that fear of rejection, that fear of saying no, isn't going to help us in any way, shape, or form. We must learn to proactively stick to our priorities and not allow others to carry us too far away from our own goals. If I'm saying yes to everyone else, how am I going to get to where I'm trying to go? Fear number 6. I think it's number 6. Fear of being scrutinized by others. Worrying about what other people think of us can be a huge diversion. When it comes to an intense, persistent fear, it can stop us from reaching our goals. I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast that I was worried about what other people might think of my change in format, right? But here I am recording the episode, doing what I need to do, what I think is best for my podcast, my company, my vision, and my direction. Are people going to maybe not appreciate what I'm doing? Yeah, there's a chance that people aren't going to appreciate what I'm doing, but they still have the same type of format available every Tuesday and Friday that's coming out live to them every single week, that they're going to keep the same format that they like. So if they don't like this episode format, what the heck do I care? There's someone out there that has been searching for this type of format to help give them some encouragement, and they really need to hear it. So I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing because someone may not like it. Fun fact, there's a whole bunch of people that don't like what I do. I don't really care. They don't pay my bills. They're not in my house taking care of my family. Really, this fear is nothing more than a reflection of our own insecurities. When we fear that someone is judging us, what we're really doing is judging ourselves. People will always have an opinion about what we're doing and how we're doing it. Is proactively directing our attention to those things that we've decided will define us. I've decided that I'm going to be a doer. I've decided that I'm going to put out more episodes and more content and be more encouraging out there. And it's not going to hit everybody. And I'm perfectly okay with that. I heard, I think from JT Fox, he said that no matter what I do, 25% of the people are going to like me. No matter what I do, 25% of the people are going to hate me. And the other 50% are going to have mixed feelings about what it is that I'm doing. I can't do anything about that. All I can do is what I'm going to do. Fear number 7 is fear of knowing your worth. There's so many people out there, and it's been myself included, that aren't being paid what they're worth because they're scared. They have this fear of standing up for how much they're really, really worth. It's not education in the way, it's not experience in the way, it's standing up for their own values. People that consistently underprice their value and their services because of a standard salary structure or some other nonsense amounts to this paralyzation that you're only worth so much. If you look at pay disparity across all of humanity, there is a group of people that has been historically underpaid. I read a stat somewhere, I can't remember where it was. It says that ladies are more likely or not likely to ask for a raise until they feel about 95% qualified for the next level. And of course, this doesn't qualify for everybody, right? So don't freak out. But man, when they feel like they're 40% qualified for that next level, they're going for it. They're asking for that raise earlier, sooner, way before they're qualified, way before they're ready. But what that does, that difference of asking and timeline, means the management understands the man's intent to promote and move faster up far earlier than the ladies. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I know that when people understand my intent, I'm more likely to get what it is that I need to be successful with where I'm going. I don't know if that's a self-worth thing. I'm not in charge of those stuff. I don't know, but I know it's a thing out there. Fear of knowing your self-worth is a problem. But when you know your value as a person, as an employee, as an entrepreneur, as a family member, that fear goes away. Fear number 8, fear of taking a break. You see, this gets me personally right now because it's New Year's Eve as I'm recording this, and I'm actually in the studio recording for you all. And I don't know if that's fear of taking a break because I just got back from a trip down to South Padre Island to see my dad for the holidays where I didn't do any work for about 6 days. I find that I have to be producing a lot of the time. So that fear of taking a break is real in my world. We believe that in order to earn our keep, well, we must be ready day or night to address every impulse of anyone that shows up, with an employer or client or potential client. But if we don't set those boundaries, we're actually losing out on family time, rest time, recovery time. If we're indulging in this need to be indispensable, it causes another kind of paralyzation. What fun activity are you going to say no to? Are you going to say no to your kid's concert because you feel you have to be available? Are you going to say no to a great weekend away with your significant other? Are you going to say no to a travel trip because you feel like you have to be available? What is that preventing you from doing? It was once said that cemeteries of the world are full of indispensable men. Before you reject spending time with your family, friends in favor of just one more concern, remember you cannot live a healthy, happy life without the proper work-life balance. You got to take time for you. You can't pour from an empty cup. And there's no chance that just being available for all those things is going to make everyone's dreams come true. If you find yourself blocked by some of these fears, drop me a comment on this. Let me know if this resonated with you, if you like or don't like this new format. Keep in mind that we will still be doing our interview show, dropping new episodes each and every Tuesday on the Nonprofit Architect podcast. Check us out, please, 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 at nonprofitarchitect.org/blog. We've got all our episodes up there. Nice little blog. You can listen to it. You can watch the video. You can share it. You can see a summary of what some of them even have the full transcript of what we've talked about. And there's always recommendations for more shows. There's a button to subscribe. Check out all the great things we're doing in 2022. And thank you so much for listening. to this episode about the 8 fears we all face.